Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 11 of the Future Ready Librarians podcast series, Leading from the Library. This is a podcast for all librarians wherever you are in your journey. It is filled with amazing guests, important topics, and engaging conversations that will inspire, engage, and support all of us as future ready librarians. I am your host, Shannon McClintock Miller. I am the district teacher librarian at Van Meter Community School in Van Meter, Iowa, and serve as the Future Ready Librarians leader. I have the pleasure of working within my library and school community and also with others around the country and world through Future Ready Librarian events, conferences, consulting, writing, and more. I am honored to bring these voices and the work of others to our podcast and to all of you. Well, I always love to have people who are librarians who are writing books that we can learn from and that we fall in love with all the things that they're doing. And so when I heard about our guest today, that she had written a new book and I've always loved her work, I couldn't wait to have Hannah on the podcast today. And so we're just going to start. Hannah, welcome to the podcast. And I just want you to start by telling us about yourself and about the work that you do.
Thank you. Yes, well, so this is my 22nd or 23rd year in school libraries. Before that, I was in a university library and Belmont University for about 4 years. So I kind of made the decision, a conscience decision to work in school libraries, and this has been my vocation, I guess, really. And for the past 18 years, I've been at the Webb School in Bell Buckle, which is an amazing little school in a tiny town in Tennessee. And I'm going to find out all of the cultural points tomorrow because we're running the school through the town in a little parade for
Oh,
homecoming. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So,
how cool. I know. And when I was just like kind of reading about today, like a little bit about your job and the web school, tell us a little bit more about the web school.
so it was founded in 1870 in an even tinier town, Culleoka, Tennessee. But Culleoka didn't happen to be a dry county area. And so the founder was very much a temperance person, and he picked up the entire school and moved it to Bell Buckle. And when he got to Bell Buckle, he had $12,000 to start the school over. And he used 8,000 of the $12,000 to buy books.
Oh my God.
So it's been a book school from the beginning.
That's amazing. Is it a K-12 school?
It's 6th through 12th grade,
Huh?
and there are students that come from about 25 different countries, about 16, 17 different states, and then 27, I believe, cities and towns in Tennessee. So it's a
Oh,
really
that's
cool
so
little
cool.
school.
I want to come visit. It sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
And so this was the inspiration too about the new book that you wrote. And so your book is called A Sense of Place: School Libraries at the Heart of Learning, Connection, and Belonging, right?
Yes.
I love that title. And so obviously the school was your inspiration.
Yes, and I have to say, I each year, I say, oh, we'll write something when I retire, when I have time, right? Because we are all so
Yeah.
busy.
Yes.
And but I was at a cocktail party with my husband at Christmas, the company party, and a fella asked me, he says, libraries, do we really need libraries anymore? Do we need school libraries anymore? And so that may sent me down a big rabbit trail of research to make the case that not only do we need school librarians, but we need school libraries more
Mm,
than ever. So,
yeah. Well, and I mean, it's always been important, but I think especially now because a lot of
mm,
people are asking that question. And so let's first just start by talking about how a sense of place really connects with our framework as future ready librarians and what we do as librarians.
for sure. So, you wouldn't believe a lot of the initial impressions that I had actually came from the Facebook group, Future
Oh.
Ready Librarians.
Mhm.
And post-pandemic, people were really saying, my space is being taken away, or my space is being reduced and maybe given to administrative staff, to technology staff. Um, and so the space began to shrink, and people didn't know how to talk to their administrators about this because it was difficult conversation. Yes, we desperately needed technology improvements at the time because um, not all of us were ready to go on Zoom the day after we shut down, after the world shut down. So there were definitely some preparations that, well, we weren't preparing for the right catastrophe or whatever. We're doing all this emergency preparation, but technology is something that we need to be prepared for, and that was definitely um, a lot of librarians were just sort of being left on the
Mhm.
outskirts and not integrated into the online and hybrid classroom. So,
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and I feel like I'm really glad that the Future Ready Librarian framework has a place around design and space because,
mhm,
it's something that to have like that space and not just a program, but it's so important. And I think again, becoming even more important for us to be able to I don't know, prove or to be able to justify, like to people, why that is so important. And I mean, that's something too that I know your book addresses is why place really matters so much when it comes to shaping our student learning and belonging too.
definitely. And it's going to ebb and flow over the next few years, especially with some of the new technology rules that are coming into place,
Mhm.
right? Because yes, we're still going to have technology, but the kids aren't going to have their phones anymore. And so we're going to have to really lean into training and teaching using computers instead of phones, maybe, and things like that. Because I feel like my my library was full of these QR codes everywhere, right? And
Right?
then in
I
Tennessee,
know.
the phones are starting to be pulled away, right, from the classroom and so forth. Right now, the library is still it's allowed. The phones are allowed, which is unusual
Yeah.
because I don't think that that's the case in my public school
Mhm.
cohorts situation. So there you won't see the QR codes everywhere in
Yeah.
their library. Um, but uh,
Yeah. It's definitely going to change. Well, and I think too, like you work with kids in 6th to 12th grade, and so the library space is so important too, and not just the library space, but spaces in our buildings for their sense of belonging. And I think about like my own daughter and her actually husband, they've been married for 11 years. They met in the library at our school, and to have a space for kids, not only for our kids who love to read, but to have kids have that sense of belonging is just so important and essential.
for sure, yeah. So we have kids come in during the three lunches at school, and it's just a real hangout. And I think we have so
Love
many
it.
more than what the student center even has, because we're a boarding school and we have a student center. And so, yeah, it definitely is a place where they belong. They know that it's a safe space. They know that there's stuff to do too that's sort of passive programming that, a puzzle, or they can draw on the tables. We often put butcher paper on the tables. So just also the way that we interact with students too, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, it really does. And I mean, that's what I love to see, and I love to feel that from the kids, because once we get them there, then it really opens up so much more for what our library program, again, it's not just all about books. And so I love that too. So tell us a little bit more about what we would find in your book. Like,
Mm.
what are some of those like themes that you have going on?
So I I think I grabbed, excuse me. I have a little notebooks that I keep lots of notes, and
Yeah.
I'm always coming up with little alliterations and things like that. And so I decided to start each chapter with a place. And so I had, a place for the librarian, which is very important. And I make sure that that's a place that's highlighted there. Um, a place to create. I think that a lot of people will say yes to that. That was really one of my hardest places because I don't necessarily have a maker space. Mine's more sort of learning commons, so the whole place is a place to create, a place for community, a quiet place. So that's hard too when you're a place for community and of course a place of collaboration. And I talk about teacher collaboration and welcoming your teachers into the library so that they can collaborate with you. So each chapter has that place in there. Um,
So, yeah, that's
anything,
great.
not a listicle, but something to kind of tie everything together. Um, Another thing that's in the book, I interviewed the architect for the building that I'm
Oh
in,
my gosh,
and
that's
that was
cool.
so cool. And I know
Yes.
you're in the middle of
Yep.
creating new space.
Mhm.
And so I've created sort of a guidelines for talking to architects and or people who are redesigning libraries, um, so that you have a sort of a baseline of what to talk to
Yeah.
them about. And I'm sure you could have probably given me much more information since you're going through it right now.
Yeah. I mean,
But
it is such a cool process. And I think that oftentimes, like, people don't know the questions maybe to ask,
Mm.
or they figured that the people that are working in your library are going to be the experts, and oftentimes that's not the case. And so I think that that is so going to be so important for people to have that, because those are the kind of things that you've thought through this so much.
And my architect was absolutely amazing. Now, my building is 32 years old now, so it's been around a minute. So, and he was a very young man when he worked on the project, but that was really cool to talk to him. And why did he make this room this way? And the relationship that he had with the librarian at the time was amazing as well. And so that was cool. She even had him put in a gender neutral bathroom so that the faculty could go to very quickly as
Yeah.
they were at the circulation desk staffing, right? So it was really neat, all of the different thought that went into it. Um, and he also, so I asked him, I was like, do you only design for private schools? Because this is a private school and it was a big project. My library
Yeah.
is 11,000 square feet. It's
Oh, yeah.
huge.
Wow. That's
So,
amazing.
um, And he said, no, I'm working on a project right now. In fact, he said his elementary school that he went to as a child, he's designing their building and their library. And so he talked to me about that and he wrote a blog post about that. And so we've kind of included some of those things too in the
Oh,
book.
so
So,
neat. I know. I love
yeah.
how you've like woven so many like personal stories into your book too. I think that's what's going to make it so interesting to read, that it's
Good.
also a story of your journey and your school
Mhm.
and your library and how special and cool. And has your book come out yet?
So it's pre-order right
Yeah.
now, I think, through Bloomsbury, and I think it's probably on Amazon too. Um, and I think it's going to come out February 5th, which is the day that we dedicated this library. So, yes. So that
Well,
was kind of serendipitous. So,
you have to have like a
yeah.
celebration and like everybody at your school has to read that because I think that's cool. Well, and I'm sure that, like I think about all the things that we've put into our library at Van Meter, and it wasn't just a conversation, of course, with just me and the architect, because my administrators and even our community understands the importance of what this space is going to mean to our school community. And then the other cool thing is the same architectural firm is doing our public library right now. And
Nice.
so I've been involved in those meetings too. And I think that that's something, that not only these conversations, but also your work and the book will have really great takeaways for like administrators and community and librarians as well. So that's
For
a good thing.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did get to interview a couple of different space consultants as well. And I'm not sure if I'm going to say his name right. David Vinjamuri. He's been at ALA several times doing workshops, but he was very nice to give me an interview for the book. And I think he's with Third Way Consulting, and he and an architect were there at ALA during one of the midwinter meetings. And then there's a fellow from Australia that agreed to an interview. And one of the things that Bloomsbury really wanted for me to do was to have appeal to an international audience as well. So I was really hoping to get a few voices from other countries. And I think we use an example from a British prep school as well, and their library, Churchy is what it's called. So yeah, yeah,
Oh, neat. It sounds like I have read a lot of books. I have a true passion for like design and schools and libraries, but your book is gonna have some different flair and I think appeal to people because of the way that you've put so much thought into just the story behind it. I love that.
yeah. I guess, yeah, I didn't want it to be boring.
Yeah,
And I wanted it to be short and sort of pithy too, so that if you needed to hand it to your administrator,
yeah,
and so that they can know and understand spa what the space is used for,
yeah,
because we've got all of those different gears,
yes.
and we need um, that there's that understanding of what all that goes into a library space for sure.
I
So
I have to ask too, like through all of this, is there anything that you changed during the process about your own library that you thought of as you were working?
every
Yeah, right.
day.
I know.
So I talked a little bit about dynamic shelving in there, and I went to a seminar at ASL 2 years ago now,
Yeah.
and it was quite good. And I really am still experimenting with that. I don't know how to do it with such a large collection. It's quite hard because I'm 20,000 volumes in, in the physical library and a full archives. So the dynamic shelving, I'm picking and choosing sections to do it with. And then I have sort of these, I don't know, cocktail parties and things like that in my library. So I can't have, duct tape on anything or, you know what I'm saying? And
Oh,
so I had a retirement party last week in the library. And so we wanted it to look more, high end and everything. So that's always tough. And we did a big display for the lady that retired. She had worked at the school for 68 years. So you can imagine
geez,
the
that's
kind
so
of display
cool.
I had to do for that because she was in 68 yearbooks.
Oh my
Can you
God,
imagine?
that's
I
amazing.
am not going to do that. I'm hoping to retire before 68 years. But we found a
Wow.
typewriter from the era and had that as sort of a prop and in the display. But yeah, so we try to really look at something every day
Yeah.
as we work through all the concepts. And I know that there are mistakes in the book. And you know what I'm saying? Like when you turn it over, you have to give yourself the gift of done
Yes, you
at some
do.
point. So
Yeah. That's when you do a second edition someday, my friend.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I cannot even wait and tell people the title again and just the publisher, just so we have that.
Okay, so and I may need to click over here. I had it in a second screen too because I've got the cover and I'm very excited about that.
Oh,
So it's A Sense of Place, and there is a subtitle,
yes.
School Libraries at the Heart of Learning, Connection, and Belonging.
So cool. By Bloomsbury. I love it.
Yes, by Bloomsbury. And they were amazing to work with. It is a long process when you're working with a major publisher, and also you're making sure that you meet all those deadlines and everything like that because there are deadlines for sure.
Oh yeah. Well,
So
I can't even wait to read it. And for those of our listeners, where can they find you online?
so mainly I'm on Instagram. I know that sounds weird, but
Love
that's
Instagram. Yeah.
usually where I find myself. I'm on Facebook too, but that's just for my mom, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
I I have to have a little conversation with her once a day over on the Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
But primarily I'm on Instagram at Librarian Little. And I have also my library has one, and they have way more followers than I have at Libfeet, Libfeet. And that's because our mascot we're the web feet.
Oh, I love it. So cute.
So we have a big foot mascot, yeah,
Love
in
it.
a Converse tennis shoe,
Oh my gosh, that's so
and
cute. Love
like a
it.
Chuck Taylor. And then yes, and I am on Blue Sky. I couldn't tell you what the little tag
No.
is, but you can find me, I'm sure.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
do have a website, librarianlittle.com too. So
Oh, well,
yeah, somehow I grabbed that one. So
that's awesome. I love
somebody
it.
already had little librarian, and
Yes.
so
Well, that's perfect. Well, you're always just so inspiring, my friend, and I can't wait to read your book and I can't wait to just think about too all the things that are going on in my library and what I can learn for this
yeah,
process. So thank you. Thanks for
definitely.
being on.
I have one more person. Do we have time to
Yes,
mention?
of course.
Yes. So one librarian that really helped me a lot too in the writing was Steve Tatro. And I don't know if you talked to him in this podcast, but He basically created a library out of nothing. It
Yes.
was amazing, his story. And so he granted me a very long interview for the book. And so I'm very excited about that. And that was so
I'm glad
sweet of
that you're
him.
giving him a
So,
shout out. He's amazing.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Oh,
So
awesome.
those were kind of some of the highlights, the interviews. And I did visit over 20 libraries
Wow,
and
that's so
over the past
great.
few years too. Yeah. So mostly private schools, but some public.
Yeah, such a
So
great. I mean, that's like one of my favorite things to do is I don't care where we are, where we
mhm.
travel. I always love to stop in the library, big or small, rural or city.
Yeah.
Like it's just great to see what everybody does. And so I just love it, but I can't wait. And congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. It's nice to finally be, like I said, tomorrow is the day that I say, okay, print. And so,
Yes. Oh, that's so Oh, I
so
love it. Well, thank you, Hannah, for being on the
thank
Future
you.
Ready Librarian podcast, and we'll
Of
catch up
course.
soon.
Okay. Good deal. Thanks.
As always, thank you to all of our listeners for joining us for this episode of the Future Ready Librarian podcast series, Leading from the Library. And a very special thank you to our sponsors, Follett Content. You make a difference in our libraries, schools, and within our lives, and that of our students every day. We appreciate everything you do. I hope you can take what you learned in today's podcast and put it to use within your practice as a future ready librarian. If I can support you in any way, please feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or X or Instagram at Shannon M. Miller or at my email at shannonmcclintockmiller@gmail.com. I am always happy to help and support each and every one of you. Until next time, friends, keep finding ways to lead within and from your library.